Welcome back to CNET on Cars. I'm Brian Cooley. Well, it's time now for a top 5 that I think is particularly topical because you recall the massive pre-order interest recently in the Tesla Model 3. But that's not coming to market anytime soon. So instead, let's see what's tearing up the EV sales charts that you can actually buy right now with our top 5 list of the best-selling EVs Q1 of 2016. This Q1 number is our first temperature on the EV market for the year. This data comes from the excellent running sales tallies maintained by InsideEVs.com. We start off number 5 with, of all things, a BMW. In fact, BMW's only pure electric car, and that is the diminutive i3. Sales are a disaster, to put it politely. They sold more of these in December of 15 than all of Q1 2016. Part of the problem is the range is, shall we say, disappointing. Well under 100 miles. And the car doesn't look anything like what you think a BMW should look like. That turns off some people. Now, we could get a shot in the arm for the i3 soon, as a 2017 model is expected with better range. That'll help some. Number 4 is the Fiat 500e. The E stands for electric. Boy, that's got a sting. BMW is getting outsold by a Fiat. Now, what we've got going on here is a car selling at about half the monthly rate early 2016 that it did last year. Not a good directional sign. Of course, when you take a car that's a tough sell to begin with and then make an EV out of it to really get out in the weeds, that's not exactly a formula for a model that's going to catch on fire. Our number 3 car is the only newcomer to this list, so we have no comparison data with Q1 of 2015 because it's the all-new Falcon Wing Tesla Model X. Now, it's been selling at a torrid pace, as you can imagine, but a lot of that has to be assumed to be pent-up demand. So we don't have a great feel for its real full-year run rate just yet. I'm also going to be intrigued at the end of 2016 to see what the numbers tell us about how much, if any, it cannibalized Model S sales. Our number 2 car is, of course, familiar to these kinds of lists, and that, of course, is the Nissan Leaf, a car that's kind of a standard bearer for the affordable electric. However, sales trends are well off early 2016 against last year. Part of what's happening here is the Leaf doesn't look real sexy compared to a Model 3 if you can wait that long, and the price isn't that much different. Secondly, Nissan's apparently having a hard time keeping up with demand for the most recent Leaf that has a bigger battery with longer range. That's throttling some of the appetite out there as well. Before I take you to number 1, let's talk about a car that may be something like that later in the year, and that is the highly anticipated Chevy Volt. This is the most eagerly awaited EV of 2016. No two ways about it. 200 miles of range, about 30 grand, pretty good looks, great practicality. They say they can make up to 50,000 of these. Now, that would be a major player if it turns out that they can get that kind of demand, meet that kind of production ramp, and keep the keys from falling out. The number 1 car on our list, I sound like a broken record on this one, I guess, is of course the Tesla Model S. Notice the unusual direction of its sales trend arrow and the very robust numbers overall. The Model S is a key car, not just because it's doing well, but it set the table for Model X, and it set the table for the massive interest in the coming Model 3. The downside of all that is Tesla just lost its ability to ease into becoming a major car maker. They now have to figure out a way to do that overnight. This guy is the reason why. More top 5 lists await the car lover. Go to CNETOnCars.com, click on Top 5.